My Korean Teacher. The story begins with Young Eun, the only son of the CEO of a large company in South Korea. Despite his wealthy background and the expectation that he would inherit his father's company, Young Eun chose a different path, leading an independent life in Tokyo, Japan. There, he works as a sales agent for a ginseng-based food product. On what seemed like an ordinary day, Young Eun is summoned by the president of the company he works for, who informs him that his contract, which is nearing its end, will not be renewed. The company is facing severe financial difficulties, with profits plummeting. With no other option, Young Eun accepts his fate. Returning home, he hopes to find solace in his girlfriend, but instead, he discovers that she is cheating on him with a much wealthier man. This revelation leaves him deeply angry and disappointed, especially since she was unaware that he was actually the heir to a major company in Korea. Frustrated by the day's events, Young Eun decides to make a video call to his parents in Korea, both to alleviate his homesickness and to check in on them. His mother insists that he return home to take over the family business, but he still doesn't feel ready for that responsibility and chooses to remain in Japan, despite these new challenges. The next day, Young Eun continues working as a sales agent, fully aware that his job will end in a month. However, before he can return to the office, his boss contacts him, advising him not to come back as the company is under suspicion of using counterfeit ginseng in its products. Shaken, Young Eun decides to head to Okinawa to try and reconcile with his girlfriend, but she ends the relationship for good. Sometime later, sitting on a park bench, Young Eun is completely frustrated and sad. He accidentally tosses his phone into a nearby garden, and while searching for it, he is helped by a Japanese couple, Kawamoto and Sayuri. They understand a bit of Korean, and, feeling sorry for Young Eun's situation, they invite him to a bar. After talking, they decide to help him. The couple runs a language school and needs a substitute teacher to teach Korean, so they offer the position to Young Eun, and he accepts. On his first day as a teacher, Young Eun feels awkward and stiff. After all, he has never taught anyone before, and he has little experience speaking in front of large groups. He becomes particularly nervous around one student who watches him intently, a single mother named Sakura, who has a 7-year-old son. Sakura is learning Korean to meet the requirements of a job as a tour guide, where fluency in the language is necessary. She is Young Eun's most dedicated student, always attentive in class, as she needs to secure a permanent position to support her grandmother and son. Sakura takes her son to school every morning before heading to work. She deeply loves her son, seeing him as her main source of motivation. During the train ride, Sakura practices her Korean vocabulary to try to learn faster. One day, she receives the news that a Korean travel company will be visiting her workplace, which excites and motivates her. Meanwhile, Young Eun is starting to adapt to his new job. He's less nervous and awkward, determined to improve his teaching skills. His enthusiasm grows as he notices Sakura's dedication. The next day, Sakura is asked to translate an email in Korean. She spends the night trying to translate it, but faces difficulties. The following morning, she asks Young Eun for help. He assists with the translation and agrees to give her extra lessons on weekends so she can learn faster. A while later, Young Eun shares Sakura's request with Kawamoto and Sayuri. Kawamoto allows him to give her private lessons, seeing it as an opportunity for Young Eun to get closer to Sakura. Over time, he begins to develop feelings for her, becoming increasingly captivated by her. On the day he starts the extra lessons, they practice Korean dialogues together, with Sakura acting as a tour guide and Young Eun correcting her vocabulary mistakes. Their growing closeness becomes even more apparent as they converse casually. Young Eun, with his playful nature, cracks a few jokes that make Sakura laugh. Afterward, they decide to go downtown to visit a local market. Coincidentally, while exploring the market, they both choose the same t-shirt, one with an adorable rabbit print, and decide to buy them. At that moment, Sakura receives an urgent call informing her that her son hasn't returned from school, and his grandmother, due to a leg injury, cannot pick him up. Without hesitation, Young Eun offers to help Sakura find her son. After an intense search, Young Eun finally locates the boy, and Sakura expresses her deep gratitude. On the way to the bus stop, Young Eun asks about the child's father. With a melancholic expression, Sakura reveals that she got pregnant at 20, and her boyfriend disappeared shortly before their son, Ki, was born. As a result, Ki has never met his father. From that point on, Young Eun offers to pick up Ki from school, as his schedule as a teacher is more flexible than Sakura's. Over time, Young Eun and Ki develop a strong bond, almost as if they were father and son. At the same time, Young Eun begins to notice significant improvements in his teaching abilities, discovering more effective methods to teach Korean quickly. Meanwhile, he continues to give extra lessons to Sakura, which often brings him to her house, where he spends time with Ki. Every time, they play ball and enjoy each other's company. On a certain night, Young Eun received a call from his mother, urging him to return to Korea immediately to take over as the company's president in place of his father. However, Young Eun declined, stating that he wasn't ready for such a responsibility. What he didn't know was that his father was gravely ill, a condition his father chose to keep secret. A few days later, Young Eun found a new way to motivate his students. Inspired by his childhood memories, he created cute bunny stickers to reward those who performed well on their exams. Meanwhile, Sakura's boss informed her that the representative from a South Korean travel company would be arriving soon. Despite her progress in learning Korean, the news made her nervous. That evening, Young Eun, Kawamoto, and Sayuri went to a bar, where they discussed how they could help Sakura. During the conversation, the bartender introduced them to a remote communication device that could assist Sakura during her meeting with the representative. This way, Young Eun could listen in and guide her in real time. On the day of the meeting, Sakura used the device while Young Eun and the others waited in a car less than a kilometer away, ready to assist her. The meeting went well, and the client was quite satisfied. Later, he invited Sakura for a tour of the city and lunch, during which he mentioned that Sakura resembled his first love. Hearing this, Young Eun suggested she decline the invitation for dinner, but in truth, he was jealous of the situation. The client then asked Sakura to accompany him to his hotel to retrieve some documents. Unsuspecting, she agreed. However, upon entering the room, the man grabbed a bottle of wine instead of the documents and began approaching Sakura inappropriately. Frightened, Sakura tried to leave, but the man grabbed her and pushed her onto the bed. Distressed, Sakura cried out for Young Eun's help. Hearing her screams, Young Eun managed to stop the attacker, allowing Sakura to hit him with a vase. The next day, Sakura's boss called her in to discuss the incident, informing her that the client had canceled the contract and returned to Korea. Sakura explained everything that happened at the hotel and why the client backed out of the deal. After learning the truth, Sakura's boss acknowledged and appreciated all the effort and dedication she had shown over time. In recognition of her hard work, he decided to promote her, making her a permanent employee of the company. That night, Sakura and Young Eun celebrated Sakura's success with a dinner followed by a night of music and singing. After the celebration ended, Young Eun offered to take Sakura home. During the ride, he asked Sakura if they could continue seeing each other, even after the extra classes were over. Sakura was happy, smiled, and agreed, revealing that she might be starting to develop feelings for him. Just as they were about to kiss, Sakura's grandmother appeared with news that Sakura's ex-boyfriend, Sui-chi, had returned. Upon seeing her, Sui-chi immediately knelt down and apologized, confessing that he had left her because he was fleeing debt collectors and didn't want to burden her with his problems. Young Eun's heart broke as he watched Sui-chi embrace Sakura. Young Eun then mentioned to Kawamoto and Sayuri that Sui-chi and Sakura would probably get back together. After all, Sui-chi is Ki's father, which would make their relationship grow closer quickly. In the middle of this conversation, Young Eun received a call from his mother, informing him that his father was hospitalized in critical condition. Distressed by the news, Young Eun immediately returned to Korea. When he arrived at the hospital, his mother revealed that his father had been ill for over a year but had forbidden her from telling Young Eun because he didn't want him to worry, respecting his wish to follow his own path. However, now Young Eun would need to take responsibility for managing the family business, as his father was no longer able to lead the company. 3 years passed, and by chance, Young Eun ran into Sakura in the lobby of a hotel while she was meeting with a corporate client. They decided to have coffee together and talked. During their conversation, they discussed their lives, and it was at this moment that Young Eun discovered Sakura hadn't gotten back together with Sui-chi and was still single. Sakura and Ki couldn't accept Sui-chi back and chose not to create emotional ties. Shortly after, Sakura accidentally dropped the sticker that Young Eun had given her, indicating that she still held feelings for him. The story ends with a shared glance and smiles between Young Eun and Sakura. The message to take away from this story is about the importance of persistence and continuous learning in achieving the dreams we aspire to.